We are going to be looking at some of the experiments our country has tested on us, without our knowledge. If this was going on in our past, imagine what they are doing now. Experiments without our knowledge is crazy. Do you think it is for the better of society, or is it motivated by money? It could be the elites on a power trip, wanting to control everything, even humans and our day-to-day lives. They watch our every move. I'm not sure if it's for our protection, or are they just being nosy?
We were subjects.
They didn't ask for our permission. We didn't ask for them to spray us. My government used me like I was a guinea pig.
We're standing at where Pruitt-Igoe used to be here in St. Louis, and it's hard to believe more than 10,000 used to live here. As we bring our drone up, you can see it's mostly just an empty lot now, overgrown with trees. This used to be filled with 33 high-rise buildings. It was all demolished in 1976. And according to the National Research Council, St. Louis was chosen for spraying experiments because it had similar characteristics to Soviet targets like Moscow in terms of population density and terrain and proximity to a river. The government now admits to a secretive series of Cold War tests, including one dubbed large area coverage. More than 30 tests conducted across the U.S. and Canada, spraying zinc cadmium sulfide from planes, rooftops, and vehicles to simulate how a biological attack might spread, all to prepare for potential warfare against the Soviets.
Many of us been in the military and had top secret clearances. We know how it works.
We have died for America. We have fought for America.
You are a veteran.
I am United States Air Force veteran.
Dr. Starks, you're a veteran as well,
Yes, I am. I'm an Air Force veteran also.
Is there a sense of betrayal here?
Definitely.
They want to know if those secret tests have anything to do with what they're observing with their own eyes.
I lost my two older siblings to cancer. I lost a brother last month.
I've been diagnosed recently with a rare form of lymphoma.
I had cancer of the left kidney, had partial removal of my left kidney.
News Nation reached out to the Army for answers. They provided a one-page response. It says the Army's own Center for Health Promotion and Preventive Medicine investigated in 1994 and found inhalation exposure would not pose a health risk. They also cite later corroborating reviews, including a 1997 review by the National Research Council. Perhaps they assumed we wouldn't read the report, but we did, and the Army's statement doesn't show the full picture. In that 1997 review, the National Research Council explicitly says repeated exposure to zinc cadmium sulfide can cause kidney or bone toxicity or lung cancer if levels are high enough. And they admitted they couldn't fully assess the risk. Why? Because some Army records remain classified, it says, for national security reasons. More troubling, key Army exposure records were missing, and when the NRC asked the Army to supply them, the Army said it couldn't find them. Finally, the NRC considered conducting its own study, but concluded it wasn't feasible. In short, it did not test the site, collect samples, or test residents, and they didn't have access to all the data. Their review was based on what the Army gave them, and what the Army either could not find or withheld. The Army ends its statement to News Nation by saying, quote, none of the reports contained evidence of a radioactive component to the zinc cadmium sulfide dispersion tests. Residents say the secrecy and delays are no accident.
We discovered soon after I entered office that with the specter of an atomic war looming like Armageddon, far nearer than it does today, the United States government actually did carry out on our citizens experiments involving radiation. Thousands of government-sponsored experiments did take place at hospitals, universities, and military bases around our nation. In one scientist injected plutonium into 18 patients without their knowledge. Informed consent means your doctor tells you the risk of the treatment you are about to undergo. In too many cases, informed consent was withheld. Americans were kept in the dark about the effects of what was being done to them. The deception extended beyond the test subjects themselves to encompass their families and the American people as a whole. For these experiments were kept secret. And they were shrouded not for a compelling reason of national security, but for the simple fear of embarrassment. And that was wrong. Informed consent, community right to know, our entire battery of essential human protections, all these grew up in response to the health and humanitarian crises of this 20th century. They are proof that we are equal to our challenges. Science is not ever simply objective. It emerges from the crucible of historical circumstances and personal experience. Let us remember, too, that cynicism about government has roots in historical circumstances. Because of stonewallings and evasions in the past, times when a family member or a neighbor suffered an injustice and had nowhere to turn and couldn't even get the facts, some Americans lost faith in the promise of our democracy. Government was very powerful, but very far away and not trusted to be ethical. The United States of America offers a sincere apology to those of our citizens who were subjected to these experiments, to their families, and to their communities.
The Science Club. They told the children it would make them healthy. They even threw in free baseball tickets to make it sound fun. They lied. This wasn't a school experiment. This was government-sanctioned human experimentation on children. Between 1946 and 1953, the U.S. government, MIT, and Quaker Oats ran secret radiation experiments on the children inside. They were promised a science club. What they got? Radioactive oatmeal. Scientists laced their food with radioactive iron and calcium tracers, then took blood, urine, and stool samples to study how their bodies absorbed it. These weren't sick children. They weren't patients in a hospital. They were just kids, and the government treated them like human lab rats. They were never told what they ate. Their families were never informed. It took decades for the truth to come out. And when it did, the government called it a harmless study. But let's talk about what they didn't say. They didn't say how much radiation was actually absorbed into those children's bones. They didn't say how many of them developed cancer, leukemia, or other illnesses. They didn't say what happened to the children who never made it out, because to the government, they weren't children. They were disposable, orphans, foster kids, children with disabilities, the ones society forgets, the ones no one would ask about. And that's the truth they won't put in history books. Experiments like this don't happen to the powerful, they happen to the powerless, repeatedly. The names change, but the victims stay the same, because to them, the vulnerable will always be expendable.
Classified files reveal this about uncovered secrets, and the truth will shock you. For decades, this information was hidden from the public. Until now. These files prove the government experimented with advanced technology years ahead of public knowledge. And this is just the beginning. Comment files if you want the full story. As whispers of conspiracy grow louder, a lone investigator uncovers the hidden past. An abandoned government facility, long forgotten, holds the key to understanding these unsettling truths.
San Francisco became the center of a shocking government experiment. Operation Sea Spray involved spraying a bacteria called Serratia marcescens into the air. The goal? To test how easily a biological agent could spread in a city. But the consequences were far-reaching and alarming. Residents reported mysterious illnesses, including respiratory issues and urinary tract infections. What's even more startling is that the military conducted this operation without informing the public. Imagine living your life unaware that you were part of a secret experiment. The bacteria spread not just in the air, but also contaminated the local waterways. The fallout was significant. A man later died from an infection linked to the experiment. Investigations revealed that the government had used unsuspecting citizens as guinea pigs. This raises serious ethical questions. How far should governments go in the name of national security? The legacy of Operation Sea Spray serves as a grim reminder of the potential dangers of unchecked experimentation. Today, it fuels ongoing debates about transparency and accountability in government actions. The echoes of this operation still resonate, reminding us to question what lies beneath the surface. Follow for more mysteries.
What if I told you that every major part of your life has an expiration date stamped on it, and you were never told? Your benefits, they're timed. Your rights, they're timed. Even the technology that you use has a shutdown date built in before you even buy it. They use it in government contracts, food production, software. It's called planned obsolescence, but it goes way beyond product. Relationships, careers, housing agreements, all are hidden timelines that they track because patterns make people predictable. And if you start breaking out of the expected cycle, they introduce a new event to reset your clock. That's why it feels like when you're about to level up, something suddenly just knocks you back down. And once you start recognizing the timing, you can work around it instead of falling right into it. They're counting on you to ignore the dates, so stop living like your clock belongs to them. Please make sure you follow me on YouTube because TikTok just gave me a strike number 2. So follow me on YouTube, please. Mike Therapy, YouTube. I'm going to be putting some long videos on there this week, so I'll see y'all.
Did you know the government has been secretly playing matchmaker for millions of couples since 1987? Leaked NSA documents revealed Project Heartstring, a classified program monitoring global communications, to find what they call destined connections. Their algorithm analyzes communication patterns, timing, and emotional content to identify couples with over 99.7% compatibility rates. The results were shocking. They successfully predicted 2.3 million marriages with 94% accuracy. But here's the strangest part. These destined pairs showed identical brainwave patterns even when separated by over 1,000 miles. The government didn't just watch, though. They actively manipulated meetings through fake job postings and rigged social media algorithms. Your dream job in another city, that perfect travel recommendation, even your dating app matches. All potentially orchestrated to study human connection. Thousands of couples met through these manipulated circumstances, never knowing their love story was part of a massive experiment. True love might be real, but someone's been pulling the strings all along. No one was ever held accountable.
Your spot?
That's correct. Out here toward this fence line is where they do a lot of the testing.
CIA is making a virtual reality headset that plugs directly into your brain. Yes, you heard that right. In 2020, a secret program was started to create a device that could simulate real-life torture in a virtual environment. As the lead scientist on the VR headset project, Mark Smith had initially believed in its potential for training agents in extreme conditions. But over time, the project had morphed into something much darker. One day, Mark stumbled upon classified documents that detailed a secret agenda within the CIA. The higher-ups were planning to use the VR headset to extract information from prisoners by subjecting them to virtual torture. The goal was to create an environment so realistic and painful that the prisoners' minds would break, divulging valuable intelligence. Mark was horrified at what he had uncovered, and knew he had to share this information with the world. He took a picture of the classified document and uploaded it. The picture was quickly erased from the internet, and Mark was never seen again.
Government experiments the world doesn't want you to know about. Part 1, Unit 731. In 1925, the Geneva Convention banned biological and chemical weapons, but Imperial Japan ignored this, and they began to build some of the most devastating weapons of all time. Their twisted research unfolded in the shadows, driven by a disturbing belief in Japanese superiority. This led to unimaginable horrors at a secret facility, Unit 731. Chinese prisoners, Russians, Mongolians, and even Japanese political detainees became victims. The experiments ranged from conventional weapons testing to something far more sinister. While the exact number remains uncertain, no one who entered Unit 731 ever walked out alive. The average lifespan of a prisoner was just 2 months, and even that was considered lucky. Some were subjected to gruesome tests, like gauging the lethality of hand grenades at varying distances or being set on fire with flamethrowers, but these pale in comparison to the darkest experiments. Unit 731 plumbed the depths of human cruelty, conducting live dissections and infecting prisoners with diseases like the bubonic plague to study the effects. The world remained blissfully unaware for years, with the Japanese government concealing the atrocities.
Tuskegee syphilis study is one of the most infamous examples of unethical government experimentation on U.S. citizens, but there are other instances where the U.S. government conducted experiments without informed consent. For example, during Project MKUltra 1953 to 1973, the CIA conducted mind control experiments on unwitting individuals, administering LSD and other psychoactive drugs without their knowledge. Subjects included prisoners, mental patients, and members of the general public. In the human radiation experiments 1940s-1970s, individuals were exposed to radiation to study its effects, including injecting hospital patients with plutonium and exposing soldiers to nuclear test fallout without their consent. At the Willowbrook State School in New York 1956 to 1970s, researchers deliberately infected children with developmental disabilities with hepatitis to study disease progression and vaccine development. Operation Sea Spray 1950 involved the U.S. Navy releasing Serratia marcescens bacteria over San Francisco to test biological warfare feasibility, leading to some residents developing serious infections. Similarly, during the Guatemala syphilis experiments 1946 to 1948, U.S. researchers deliberately infected Guatemalan prisoners, soldiers, and psychiatric patients with syphilis and other sexually transmitted diseases to test treatments without their consent. In the 1960s, both military personnel and civilians were exposed to Agent Orange, a herbicide containing harmful dioxins, during its testing and use in Vietnam, with health effects undisclosed. In the St. Louis aerosol study 1950s-1960s, low-income neighborhoods were sprayed with zinc-cadmium sulfide to simulate chemical warfare attacks without informing residents of the risks. At Holmesburg Prison in Pennsylvania 1950s-1970s, inmates were exposed to various chemicals, including dioxins and pharmaceutical compounds, for dermatological and other medical research. These cases represent significant breaches of ethics, particularly the principles of informed consent and non-maleficence, and have led to reforms in research ethics, including the establishment of the Belmont Report and stricter oversight by institutional review boards IRBS.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but there is a very deep-seated history of the government's experimenting on its citizens. Now we're talking like MKUltra, Soviet Union type of stuff. And there are many examples of what they've done to us, and that's just what we know about. So what I wanted to explore is, are there any other government experimentations happening right now on planet Earth that we're not aware of? Now, of course, things like Big Pharma experimenting on us with their medications came up. Things like CERN and the Big Large Hadron Collider came up, along with chemtrails. I mean, what are they really doing? Are they sterilizing us, depopulating us, weakening us, or maybe even mind controlling us with these chemicals that they're spraying? But there was something so much crazier that came up. There is and I'm going to use my words carefully. There is a trafficking that is happening right now between humans and extraterrestrials. And it's not good. Essentially, there seems to be multiple contracts set up between the deep state governments, let's call them the Illuminati or the shadow governments, and extraterrestrials. Essentially, these government agencies are allowing the extraterrestrials to take a certain number of their civilians or population in exchange for technology transfer. This is how they are able to reverse engineer spacecraft and even weapons. Now, the information goes so much deeper and gets so much crazier, including things like human hybridization and secret super soldiers.
Government used to manipulate the weather, and it actually succeeded. The military during the Vietnam War carried out Operation Popeye, an operation which was at the time classified, in which the military seeded clouds with aircraft and caused it to rain on enemy-held territory. Why? To flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail, slow troops, and incapacitate supply lines, rain being a literal weapon of war. The project was a decades-long secret until one reporter discovered it. Congress was shocked, and in 1977, America signed an anti-treaty on weather modification for war. But here's the million-dollar question. If they were doing that in the 1960s, what are they possibly doing today?
Coffee mug, the amount of space in that coffee mug has enough potential power to boil off all the oceans of the world. Those are called over-unity systems, or free energy, because once you get it tapped, it's just flowing. That means that every home, business, car, manufacturing, village in Africa would be able to have a device that would not be very expensive, frankly, to mass manufacture. No pollution, there's no radiation, and once you have the system, there's no cost. The bad news is that if you're an oligarch, a global oligarch, controlling the macroeconomic system, big oil, big global systems, if that technology were to be disclosed, it's a quadrillion dollars. It's $1,000 trillion or more in proven assets, oil, gas, coal, public utilities that are obsolete. It's like it's like a royal typewriter or a horse and buggy. The worst treasonous acts that have ever happened to any country that falls is from within.
Bro, first off, the GATE program, it's pretty much this. It's this group of kids that get sent because they're special, like they're like not special ed, but like intelligence. Special intelligence, and they teach them things, right? Now the conspiracy is the kids that were sent here were being tested for like psychic abilities.
What?
Now,
no way.
Hold on, bro.
If there's like a mole on you, you're sent there?
No. Oh, it's even crazier than that.
What?
Yo, it's even crazier than that. Hold on. But first off, there's this video I came across. They're talking about if you remember this stuff, you were probably part of the GATE program.
Yeah.
Before continuing, I wanted to warn you guys. Their phones were being spied on. Click on this icon, then on more. If you see it, delete it immediately.
So these were like the headphones you wear, because what
everyone
you do,
had those.
I know, but look, let it play out.
Okay.
But you would listen to this. I remember this exact audio, fam.
You remember doing
So it was like a guided audio lesson. And it sounded just like that. I remember wearing headphones and I had to do this, bro.
What?
And then you never did this before.
No.
So these things, it was like you took string.
Oh no, yeah, I did those.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
With the colored yarn on the.
This is one of them too.
Or the little wooden boards with the nails.
Leave down in the comments if you were part of GATE. Leave down in the comments. Because apparently it's huge. Like it was all over North America, US, and Canada, and across multiple schools. And it was a government I don't know, I guess like program.
Okay.
This gets weird.
Yeah.
Because they made me and they made all of us drink this pink drink in like small paper cups. And that's what they say people from GATE were drinking.
What? Wait, so you actually did this?
No, I swear.
Like
fam.
there's no Mandela
This is no
effect.
Mandela. Look, I'm telling you what happened.
California desert lies one of America's most secretive military installations, China Lake. Officially, it's a naval weapons testing facility, but rumors suggest it hides something much darker. Some claim China Lake is a hub for deep underground military bases, advanced weapon research, and even recovered alien technology. Whistleblowers have spoken of hidden tunnels, black budget projects, and mind control experiments dating back to MKUltra. In 2019, a massive earthquake hit the region, and China Lake mysteriously shut down. Was it natural, or was something trying to break free? What are they really hiding beneath the desert?
We're the only species on this planet that sunburns this easily. Let that sink in. Birds, covered in UV-blocking feathers, reptiles, scales, natural armor, whales and dolphins, specialized skin cells that literally repair damage from the sun. Even apes, our supposed ancestors, have thick fur shielding them. But us? Step outside too long and the sun cooks us alive. Why would evolution do that? Enter Dr. Ellis Silver, environmental scientist, not some internet crackpot. He proposes something that flips the whole Darwinian script on its head. Humans might not have evolved on Earth. Let me say that again. We're not from here. We were placed here. Because if you take a step back and look objectively, our biology doesn't fit this planet. We overheat easily. We suffer from chronic pain, allergies, anxiety. We need shoes to walk, umbrellas to survive sunlight. And our babies? Practically useless for the first year. There's not another species on Earth this fragile and high maintenance. This planet is a survival machine. Everything adapts, everything evolves, except us. So Dr. Silver asks, what if we were engineered? A hybrid species brought here from somewhere else? Maybe a failed experiment. Maybe a colony. Maybe even punishment. We don't know. But our skin, our bones, our biology, they're all whispering the same thing. You might feel human, but this place was never made for you. Or maybe you were never made for this place.
Real-life Powerpuff Girls, and their story is truly terrifying. In 1958, in a hidden lab deep in Nevada, the U.S. government started a secret project called Operation Blossom. It was led by a strange scientist named Dr. Clyde People. The goal was to create human weapons by changing their DNA. His experiments led to 3 genetically modified girls: Emily, who had super strength; Rose, who could control machines with her mind; and June, whose mind control was so powerful, even the scientists were afraid of it. To stop the girls from using their powers, they were forced to wear collars that kept their abilities under control. But things got darker. They were tested non-stop, kept in isolation, and treated like weapons, not like children. One day, during an experiment, June secretly used her mind control on Dr. People. Without knowing why, he left the remote for the collars under the table. He thought it was his own idea. That night, the girls took the remote and removed their collars. Then, everything exploded into chaos. Emily smashed walls with her strength. Rose shut down the lab's alarms and locked the doors. June calmly froze the terrified guards with her powers. They escaped into the desert, leaving destruction behind them. The government searched everywhere, but never found them. Years later, declassified files mentioned 3 pregnant women seen near military bases. Their story was erased from history, but one question remains: where are they now?
Assumption that this is true right now. Why do you think that they're not telling us, that our government doesn't tell us? What's your best
Well,
thought?
let me put it into what you do. If I'm the president, okay, and I get this information, what do I do with this? What do I do with this? There's something that we don't know. There's something we don't understand. There's something that came from another world. We got it tucked away in the mountains. And just wanted you guys to know about it. Hey, sleep tight. Hey, American Idol's on tonight. Who do you think's going to win?
Yeah.
Who's going to win America's Got Talent?
That's not going to happen.
So one is uncertainty, and the other one is what Bob and I have talked about a lot. Absolutely not knowing what to tell people because you don't really understand it yourself, even though you've got these...
What do you say? If you want to run a government, you want to get people to pay their taxes?
But there's something else.
Yeah.
Because,
what do you say?
So you have these objects flying with impunity, right? But you have something else.
Well, not only that, what can you say? Like, how much do you really know?
I think it's mainly the technology. They just want to keep the technology secret because
Military.
if there's
whoever gets this wins, dude.
Yeah,
they win.
You control the world. You literally become invincible once you master the technology. You cannot penetrate a field like that. So imagine I know it's all science fiction, but science fiction turns into science fact. If you have real force fields around aircraft and battleships, you win. You win. You can force your will upon anybody. And like I said, there's so much more to the story. When I was first there were Russian scientists at S4. This was early on in the project.
So this was before Operation Paperclip became public as well, right? So
I would imagine.
That was...
For me, it wouldn't have been a big deal because I'm failing anyway, so I don't care. I'm going to save that damn fish.
But imagine, you're an A student, you're getting into the college of your dreams,
right? And if you don't get this class, you're not making it.
Yeah. So it's hard. And so when we say to each other, "Oh, I would never do that,"
just be careful when you say that.
We
might. You don't really know.
Yeah.
There could be a situation where and this goes back to COVID again. I mean, how many of you knew how ridiculous it was to wear masks or not to be able to go to a restaurant and you sit down, it's okay not to wear a mask, but if you stand up, you have to wear.
I knew it was ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, and the vaccine.
I didn't do it.
It's crazy. I mean, and a lot of people fell for it, and it's just. Do I blame the people who fell for it? No. I mean, look at these experiments. It's just that's what it was, and that's why I was saying, was COVID just a big social experiment?
Yeah, I even talked to Lisa, and I wrote some things to the paper in Reno where we were at the time that I thought it was a social experiment.
Yeah.
And I think it was much more than that. But
I think it was just pure evil. But
you know, we've been doing experiments for a long time as a government.
Yeah, the government's been experimenting on innocent people for a very long time.
That's what we do.